Video, we are going to get started with creating a SFML project. So I'd like to start by creating a class for the whole application. And so we're going to go ahead and create a class by right-clicking and selecting C++ class. And I'm going to call this class application. This application is going to be our main program. Inside of this class, I'm going to have a function, a public function called run. And we'll just make this a void function. A lot of times people like to split up the different things that we do in our application in separate functions, but just for clarity, I'm going to put everything in the run function, and then I'll show how to split it up into different functions. So in order to use SFML, we have to include SFML in our project. So we'll go ahead and include SFML /graphics.hpp. All right, and basically at the very end of our project, we will want to be able to just include this application file in our main.cpp. So I'm going to go ahead and include application.h, and then create an application object, and then we'll just call the app.run, and this will be our entire main function. Everything else is gonna start at this application.cpp application class. So let's go ahead and implement this run function. So we're going to go to our CPP. We'll do application scope resolution operator. Of course, we need to put our return type, so we'll say void scope resolution operator run. And this is where we're going to start building our app. So the first thing that we need in order to build an app is we're going to need to have a window. That's going to be the window that shows up that has all of our objects and basically our whole SFML project. That is going to be a class called SFRenderWindow. And I like to just call that window. Now our window object our window object constructor takes two parameters. The first is going to be of type video mode. So we'll do SF video mode. And this video mode object actually takes three arguments. The first two arguments are going to be the window's width and the window's height. So let's just do a 720 by 420. And then the third is going to be the bit rate. So we'll go ahead and say 32-bit. All right, and so as I said, the window object actually takes two parameters. So the first is going to be that video mode. So we'll go ahead and pass in video mode. And then the second is going to be a string, and that's basically going to be the title of that shows on the window project. And so we're going to go ahead and type in SFML tutorial. All right, and just a second. All right, and so now that we have our SFML window, what we want to do is create a way to make things draw in our window and make things appear to be moving. We need to get our window open and have it ready to draw things. So what we're going to do is we're going to create nested loops. The first loop is going to be while the window is open. So we'll do while window.is open. And this basically is a function that comes with the window object, and it basically will return true as long as the window has not been open. And then there's three things that we need to do in order to make things appear that they're moving. We want to first clear our window. So we'll say window.clear. Then we need to draw some objects. Of course, right now I don't have any objects to draw, So there's going to be an error in this draw. I need to pass in an object so that the window will draw it. And then once the window draws it, we want the window to display. So we'll go ahead and say window.display. So remember I said there's a nested while loop, right? So the inner while loop is actually going to be our event listener. And an event is basically input that comes into our program. Input such as input from a keyboard or input from a mouse or a joystick, whatever kind of input you will need for your program. So we're going to have a nested while loop to handle that input. That input is actually called an event. So we are going to create an event object. I like to call it event. And when an event occurs, the window will put information about that event inside of this event object. And the way we do that is we're going to say window.pollEvent. And then we're going to pass the event object to that. And so the Windows base is going to continuously listen for an event to occur. And when that event occurs, then we will execute this while loop and put information about that event inside of this object. And then we can make our program respond according to that event. So in this case, we're going to start with a very simple one. That's when you actually click on the little red X to close a window, right? Whenever that little red X is clicked, then you want the window to close. So we're going to write some code to do that. So we're going to say if event.type is equal to the closed event, and that closed event is actually saved in a static variable inside of the event object, the event class, and that event is called closed. Basically, we're saying if the event type is equal to the value inside of the event class that represents closed, then we want to do something. And in this case, what we want to do is tell the window to close. So we'll say window.close. All right, and then that's all we need to get started. Well, of course, we don't have anything to draw, so we need to create some objects to draw. In this case, we're going to go ahead and draw a circle. So if you look in the SFML documentation, there's a lot of different types of shape that you can draw, and they also give you really good details of how to use that object. In this case, let's go ahead and look at the documentation. So inside of that documentation, we're going to go to SFML documentation, just do a quick Google search, and we'll look at our list of classes. Right, and so inside of here, I have circle shape. I have lots of different types of shapes that we can draw. A rectangle shape. There's a lot of different things that we can use to be able to start drawing. Circle shape is a pretty simple class to use. I'm going to go ahead and click on circle shape, and it kind of gives me a lot of information. If you notice, this looks like a header file when you create a class. It basically gives all the public functions, the public member functions. It gives us a little information about the constructors, right? What kind of constructors this object has. It also gives us a little snippet of code, how to actually create our object and configure it. So let's go back to our sea lion, and we're going to go ahead and create a circle shape object. So SF circle shape, I'll name it circle. And just from having that alone, now I can go to my draw and I can tell my window to draw the circle. But if I run my program, you'll see that that's not enough. Nothing still shows up. That's because I haven't configured that circle. So right now the circle doesn't have any size to it, and so therefore there's nothing to the circle yet. So we're going to go ahead and configure it a little bit. So we're going to go back up to where we created our circle, and we're going to add some, use some of the member functions to configure it. So first thing I want to do is give the circle a radius so that it actually has a size. And we're going to do that by using a setter called setRadius. And in here we just pass in a float to represent what our radius should be. In this case, I'm going to make the radius 50. All right, and then from that alone, you can see now when I run my program, I actually now see a circle. All right, and then if I want to change the color of my circle, I can do that by saying circle dot set fill color. And with that, we can pass in a color object. There are some default colors inside of the color class. In this case, let's go ahead and make our color, let's make our circle, let's make it blue. So we'll just do SF color and then blue. All right, and if I run my program, we'll see that the color has actually changed to blue. Notice that the circle is here in the top left corner, and that is the default. Whenever we don't set position of our objects, it's always going to place it at 0, 0. And 0, 0 is a little bit different from graphs that you're used to. 0, 0 will be this top left corner. So 0, 0 will be here, and then that number will keep increasing as we go to the right, and it will keep increasing as we go down, which is a little bit different from how we're used to for graphs. Usually graphs, 0 is in the middle, and everything above that is increasing, everything below that is decreasing. But that's not the case with SFML. 0, 0 starts at the top left corner and it increases to the right and increases going down. So let's go ahead and move our circle. I'm gonna position it so that it's just not in the top. I'm just gonna pick some random position. We're gonna use a setter called set position, and that set position is going to take in a X and Y coordinate. So let's go ahead and set it at 100, 100. And if I run my program, you see that my circle has now moved. It's now placed somewhere else. So this is how we're able to draw and position our functions. Let's go ahead and use create some events, right? That means I'm going to put some input into the program, and then my circle will respond according to that input. Again, whenever we want to handle input, we're going to do that in our event listener, right? This is our event listener. As a matter of fact, I will put a comment here just so you see that this part is the event listener. I'm gonna use a keyboard event now. So when I press the space bar, I'm gonna have my ball move diagonally. So I'm gonna use a if statement, and in SFML there is a SF keyboard class that handles keyboard events. So I'm gonna say if SF keyboard is key pressed, then I need to tell which key I'm actually wanting to listen for, and I'm going to say let's listen for the space bar. So that's going to be SF keyboard space, and now I need to say what I want it to do when I press the space bar. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to just move from its current position, and I wanted to move I just want it to move diagonal. So basically I want the 100 and 100 that we see here, I want these to increase. So one thing that we can do is we can save the circle's current position. So we're going to do that by using the SF vector 2F. And I will call this position, and I'm going to make it equal to the circle's current position. So we're going to say circle, and this time we're going to use a getter, get position. All right, and so now I have the position of the circle, and I want to now increase the position of that circle. So now I'm going to use my circle setter again. So circle dot set position, and inside here now I want it to continue to be at its current position, but then increase that position. So I'm going to say position dot x plus 1, and we'll do position dot y plus 1, and that will allow our x and y position to both increase by 1 when the keyboard spacebar is pressed. So let's go ahead and run the program. And as you can see, as I press the key, as I press the spacebar, the ball keeps moving. If I stop pressing the spacebar, the ball stops moving. So that's how we get the appearance of things moving inside of SFML. What's actually happening is we are going through this while loop so quickly that our eyes can't really tell that the window is clearing the ball off the screen, repositioning the ball, and then drawing it again, and then displaying that screen. It's happening so fast that it appears that the ball is actually moving. All right, so that is our first tutorial. There's many more to come. Thanks for watching.